musicians, does it ever feel like we've been lied to? Right? And I think we have. And the worst part about it is, it's a beautiful lie. It's a glamorous lie to get us to keep churning away in an old music industry that only serves a few tiny minority of people at the expense of all the artists, right? And so they've told you, hey, if you just make a song, it'll promote itself. People will find it, right? If you build it, they will come. You hear advice like this all the time. But what if this kind of advice is not how you make it, quote unquote? And in fact, what if we've been sold a lie as to what making it actually is? So in this video, I want to break through these lies that have been told to us about what it means to make it, and actually share with you what it does mean to make it and how that can actually be achievable by most artists nowadays that really just know the right strategies, because this really is the best time to be a musician, and I'm going to expose to you the lies that have been preventing people from seeing that. So stay locked in till the end. There's going to be some great stuff that's going to help you change your music business. So the first thing that we need to understand, this is a huge thing. Success is a process. It is not an event. See, a lot of musicians are out there looking for this big Hail Mary event, right? I'm going to throw this big 90-yard touchdown. I just throw one ball, one touchdown, we win the game. That's kind of the mindset that a lot of artists have. Whether it's, I'm going to get on this one playlist, and once I get on this one playlist, all my worries are taken care of. Or once I get this one piece of content that gets 1 million views, all my troubles are taken care of. Here's the reality. I do believe that there are certain things like that. You're one song away from something really special. So I think your songwriting needs to be of utmost importance, because you really truly are one song away from creating something that resonates with masses of audience and creates your fan base. Like, I do believe in that, because that's something that is one of the core foundations of the music business. But sadly, it's not the only piece of the equation that equals success. M plus M equals S. What does that mean? Music plus marketing equals success, right? It's not M equals success. It's not just, if I have the right music, that'll equal success. It's not, if I just have the right marketing, I'll have success. Well, now that I think about it, Rebecca Black had a lot of marketing around something that wasn't very good, and she kind of leveraged that for her. She leveraged that for her advantage. I don't know, but I do think that it's insanely important to not just rely on one of these things. Yes, are there case studies of people who had insanely great marketing, but absolutely putridly terrible, objectively terrible music? Sure, those exist, absolutely. Are there examples of the true artists who just created this hit in their bedroom or whatever? Sure, those people are there too. They're both the exceptions. Both of them, right? We can't be so black and white and thinking that those are our only two options. A majority of the time, what happens is you have to have the music and the marketing. You have to have music that is, some people are not going to like that I'm going to say this. You have to have music that's good enough. Good enough, right? Some people are like, what does that mean? It's really hard to determine, and this is why I say good enough. What does good enough mean? It doesn't mean what most people think it means. I'm talking about the quality of your mix, how loud it is, how clear each of the instruments are. Outside of that superficial kind of packaging of the art, because keep in mind, you could hear the same song live in concert through a radio, through vinyl, through CD, through your MP3s, and they're all going to have slightly different sounds to them. Obviously, the more digitalized ones are going to have more similarity to them than the live performance. But you have to get the idea, like, the music exists in this one area, but the mix is something that kind of coats it, right? Makes it packageable so that I can hear everything that you're trying to do in your song. So yeah, we have to really focus on those things to make sure our songs are as best as we can possibly make them. But who am I to tell anyone, that's not a good enough song? Because there are songs that I'm telling you, I have listened to and went, what is this crap? Again, I'm not hating the artist, but I have an opinion, and I was just like, this is terrible. And I'm like, how many streams does it have? And they're like, 1 billion. And I'm just like, it's got a what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you, just because I may have a personal preference, or somebody may have a personal preference to a song, that does not determine whether a song is good or not. So I think that it really comes down to this. If you've got pretty good melodies, pretty good rhythm and an overall fun thing, vibe of a song, it's really up in the air as to what is considered objectively good. But there are some objective things like your mix quality that you can do to improve that. So that's something good, right? So you can improve the mix quality to make your music that you're trying to create pop more. Not that you're going to make it sound like a completely different genre or anything, right? Because you're you. So here's the point. Your song is extremely important. You're one song away, but most people don't put the effort into their songs like that they should. And instead they think, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on this one playlist, and this one playlist is going to get me taken care of. And here's the thing, y'all. There's playlist services that will sell you this idea of like, yeah, you'll make it just by signing up for our playlist and stuff. You get all these tens of thousands of streams and blah, 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 blah. I had someone who paid for those playlisting services. They were a client of mine, and they got up to like, 10,000 plus monthly listeners. And they were like, wow, this works really well, But then guess what happened? Those views slowly but surely went all the way down to 1,000, like cut 90% of the people that were there, they left. Right? Now, what does that do for your algorithm on Spotify? Not very good. It's not a very good look, I'll tell you that, right? So instead of doing the real business work, which is slowly accumulating the right audience, letting the algorithm work its natural magic, and over time, like a cast iron skillet, seasons it just right so that your ads are finding the right people. No one's really doing that kind of stuff. Most people are like, well, how can I just pay for a playlist thing that gets me 10,000s of quick monthly listeners, even though 90% of them go the next day? Same thing goes with content. We think, oh, if I just put this one piece of content out, there's going to be the Grimace Shake trend that goes around. I'll post my Grimace Shake video, and that's going to blow up, and therefore we're going to have an audience. Totally wrong way of looking at it. Speak from someone who did the Grimace Shake stuff. My band was very insistent. They showed up, literally the singer showed up with just the Grimace Shakes, and I was like, all right, I guess we're doing this. He bought 5 of them, so let's go for it, I guess. It was delicious. Other than what we had to do in the video, it was delicious. I made it sound so bad just by saying that. Don't go watch it. Now people are going to go watch it. Dang it. See what I did there? That reverse psychology. So when it comes down to this, looking at success as a Hail Mary event, I'm just going to get this one playlist, this one piece of content, that's all going to take care of my problems. And that's not what's going to happen. It's incremental progress. It's a process that you have to go through. You have to go through testing, iterations. When it comes to your Spotify ads, I'm a huge believer in testing to figure out what piece of ad creative is going to perform the best, what audience creative is going to perform the best, et cetera, et cetera. So you go through and you test those things, figure out what works. People want I just want to press boost post, and I want that to take care of all my problems. It's not going to take care of all your problems. Boost posts are good for vanity metrics. Sure. You want some views? Great. You want some followers? Sure, you might get a few of those. But I'm telling you right now, the real thing that you want to do is if you're ever going to boost a post, it better be a post that's got something to do with your business. And what I mean by that is there has to be some kind of like call to action to join your email list, your fan club, get a piece of merch, get a ticket, something like that. Otherwise, paying money just to get views that are fleeting and going to disappear the next day and not really care is not a smart business strategy. That's not how you make it. Right? But what can you do to help increase that making it factor? What you can do is start putting out pieces of content as much as you can. And slowly but surely, you're going to start seeing, okay, this doesn't work, that worked. Let me do some more of that. Okay, that worked. It looked a little bit better, a little bit worse. Okay, let me try something different. That didn't work. Let me try something. Oh, that worked better. Okay, let me improve upon that. Keep all the good stuff from here, move it, update it here. Okay, so now we're doing this. That's what it's like to quote unquote make it in the content realm of your music business, right? When it comes down to building up your email list, it's not just going to be this one post that you get that's going to get 300 people to join your email list all at one time. It's getting 5 here, 3 there, 10 here, 20 there, 7 here. That's what it's about. Playing a gig, maybe getting 10, 15, 20, 30 people in one day, depending on how big the crowd is and how diligent you are. By the way, musicians have become so shy. Don't be afraid. to do some outbound marketing at your gigs. And what I mean by that is take the sheet of paper that's got like your email list thing there. Maybe it's a QR code. Maybe it's a place they can actually write in their email. Take it around the venue and be like, did you guys have a great show tonight? Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Well, we wanted to make sure that next time we come back, we saw y'all here. Would you guys want to come back and rock out with us again and have a good time? Oh, great. So here, if you scan this QR code with your phones right here, it'll take you there, put your email. You can walk them through that, right? You see how that works? I remember a guy named Randall Stevens. I believe is his name. Forgive me if, is it Stevens? I know his name is Randall. He's a great guy that was in the band Big Story. And he was a marketing he did not give a single F. Like if he had a bowl of F, he had turned it upside down and all of them had fallen out and none of the Fs remained. So what I mean is he would literally be the guy going, hey, get your Big Story CDs right over here. Like it was almost like we were at some kind of carnival, right? And he's like, step on up, folks. Come on, get together right over here. We're going to do the thing. And he was so energetic. They sold so many CDs. At first I was like, dude, you're so aggressive. You need to chill out. You know, I was one of those kind of guys like, they're just going to come buy our stuff. We don't need to do that. And he was out there slinging CDs. I tell you what. Now, some people, of course, were like, no thanks, no thanks. That's natural. But tons of people were like, oh my God, I saw you guys. You guys were great. Pulls them in. Now they're selling and like, he did a great job. So what I'm saying is like, you don't have to go as hardcore as Randall did. Randall's a very extroverted individual in that sense. But come on, you could put 10% of that kind of effort into your marketing of your email list at a gig. So little additional marketing point here to help you guys build up your email list and get really good quality people on it. Because let's be honest, getting a email from social media, it's warm quality, a warm quality lead as we call in marketing. But you get someone at a show who just saw you and loved your show and they join your emails, that's a perfect, hot, ideal person to be in your email list. So sometimes you'd rather have 10 of those than 100 of the other. Because if all 10 of them will buy and only like 1 to 5% of the other will buy, I'd rather just take the 10 that'll buy. You know what I'm saying? So don't get dragged down this vanity metrics rabbit hole because people don't believe it. There are musicians who are not getting tens of thousands of views per piece of content, but are still monetizing in a way because they found their ideal audience. They found the people who are into that kind of stuff. So that's a real big thing about on social media making it, is figuring out how exactly do I find the right people so that when I put that content out there, even if it's only like 1,000 people, 750 people, those are 750 people who are like red hot, perfect descriptions of who is going to be the best for our music business, as opposed to, yeah, my views are like at 100,000 and maybe, 100 people engage with it. It's like, who wants to be in that situation? Plus, it doesn't look very good for the algorithm, right? Sometimes we think we'd want the views, but if we don't have the performance to match the views, it goes bad really quickly, okay? So these are all pitfalls that people fall into when they have a Hail Mary mindset. This is stuff I talk about in my book, The Musician's Dilemma. You can get a copy in the link in the description. But the whole point is you get lost in this, one thing. I just do the one thing. And you start getting like one thing-itis. And you just keep looking for the next one thing that's going to help magically solve it. When there's not really one thing, it's if there is really one thing, it's getting the proper systems in place, right? There's no magic. It's not like I take a magic pill and boom, everything's fine. It's just setting up the right system. So let's talk a little bit about that. When we start setting up systems, what's one of the first things that I've seen musicians jump too quickly to do and actually ruin their chances of making it? They delegate way too fast. I call this the delegation trap. I've seen artists who will pay people to do their content for them, to be their manager and design all their websites and do all this stuff. And they're bleeding money. Because here's the thing. When it comes to setting up a system, there's a great book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. One of the things he talks about in establishing systems, the book's about like how to build a franchise business. So it's literally turnkey. Like you just like, hey, buy this business from me, operate all these systems, and it'll just keep working and we can just transact the business, right? He's talking about total systemization. And the first thing is you have to do it yourself or know what it looks like done properly. And that's kind of the first step no one really goes through, is you go through this. Let's say you're talking about running your merch table, right? Or running your email list. You'll want to have ran that email list or that merch table so many times that you know what kind of subject lines work, you know what kind of phrases work while you're on stage trying to get people to the merch table. You'll know these things, right? You'll have the one-on-one experience to know, hey, that doesn't work. This works though. And then the next step is getting that maximized. All you can do by yourself. It's like, this is all I can possibly do on my own before I have to hire this out, because it's actually returning some investment, right? So if you go out and you're spending $20 a month on like a MailChimp account, you want to be able to bring in more than $20 a month from your email list, right? So if you're out there, you're like, oh man, okay, I brought in $10 this month. Okay, we could bring in more than that. We could boom, boom, boom. You start increasing that. You get to the point now where you're consistently bringing in, let's say, $50 to $100 a month. Now you're kind of on a roll. Now you can kind of look back and say, what are the things that I've been doing right? What's been getting all these sales? What's been doing this X, Y, and Z? Now you're able to write down in a sort of step-by-step fashion, here's what I do to execute the tasks that are needed to be done to have a successful email list. Then you have this system that you can now hand to somebody, and no matter if they have any experience whatsoever, they literally just follow your dummy-proof system, they could all of a sudden run this for you. Most artists don't go to that position. This is like something that McDonald's has really, really done effectively. Say what you want about the food, and what it does to my stomach after I eat it, which I won't talk about in graphic detail here on this video. But what happens is, they have created a business totally built on systems so that it really doesn't matter how much employee turnover that they have. Anybody could now step into that role and fulfill it because they just run the system, or they're someone who starts the automatic system that McDonald's has already set in place. It's very, 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 very streamlined. So that's one thing you got to at least appreciate on that front. So when we look at it, how do we make a system that we can hand to somebody before we do this whole, let me go find an assistant who's going to take care of all this stuff for me? I'm like, if you don't know what works and you hire someone who doesn't know what works either, they're going to be looking to you to determine what works. And if you don't know what works, then y'all are both blind leading the blind. And now you're paying them money to be blindly led by you and to do blind stuff for your business that may or may not be effective. It's something that we have to be very, very careful of, because I'm telling you right now, as soon as you start getting these entrepreneurial strategies going, you're going to start going, well, okay, well, I can just hire someone out and they'll just do that for me. I can just hire them out and they'll do this for me. There's a balance. There's a balance here that we have to really figure out. And what is that balance? The ROI of the hire. So for example, if hiring somebody allows you to now focus on another task that is more income generating than this other task, then you have to look at it and say okay, the ROI, the return on investment I'm going to get for paying someone to do this for me so that I can focus on this, what I get in return from this needs to be able to pay for this. And this is roughly 30% of the expense, right? So let's say, I'm paying someone $30 and I got $100 from this activity that I was able to do because I had paid someone $30. That math makes sense now, because now you're paying them 30 so that you can go make 100 and you make a split of 70. Now you're making 70 more dollars than you were beforehand because you were able to do this task. Now that's just a real basic math example so you can understand the principle, right? Hopefully we would like to scale that up at different points. So you have to look at it like that. You have to look at it very systemized, very mathematical. Mathematical, systematical, that's how you have to do your business, right? Because it's a business. I know this is not the sexiest episode where I'm like, you just say these magic words and then everyone shows up. But this is reality. This is how it works. If you want to operate a business, you got to kind of track some stuff and you got to track what's important. And these are the metrics you kind of want to look at. It's okay, how can I build a system to where I'm creating my content? The metrics that I'm following here is how many people do I get from content into email list? What about my followers, Dax? I don't really care about that as much. What about my view count, Dax? I don't really care about that as much. I mean, it's a rough indicator of how good our content does. Where if we put out a piece of content, it gets 100 views, and we put out another piece of content, it has 1,000 views. There is data to be learned from that, right? But it's data to help us improve the odds that we're bringing people into our audience, and we have to have a system to bring them from audience into email list. I'm talking all about this email list because guess what happens? One day Facebook is just like, yeah, we're done with Facebook. We're just going to make it meta, and Facebook is just extinct. They stay no snap, and all of a sudden this platform will just disappear. It almost happened here in the US with TikTok. Hey, just some legal stuff, and so boom, your platform's gone. Guess what happens to all your followers at that moment? They go into nothingness. They go on to the platform from which they came, and you do not have access to it anymore. That's what happens. Because ultimately, the email list that's created for TikTok is all of their account users. And they're the ones who own the information. So for us, we have to have a place where we own the information. We own all the contact information, so every single social media platform could shut down tomorrow, and you could go email your fans and be like, isn't it crazy how all those platforms shut down just like simultaneously? You could do that if you have an email list or a text SMS list. If you don't have either one of those, you're sitting in a very vulnerable position. Because what happens if you get banned? What if it's not even as cataclysmic as that? What if it's, oh, I just got banned because I accidentally said the F word or something, and they're like, I don't like that, shadow banned or banned completely. Who knows? Maybe you had a lyric in there that got misread by the AI, and all of a sudden now you're banned and you can't post anymore. It's like, those are all the same effects of basically now you don't have access to this audience that you've built up. So that's why I keep talking about email lists and why they're crucial to you, quote unquote, making it, because they're part of this incremental process where as you're building, you need to have a way to capture the people that you're building with, right? Not capture them physically. We're not going to throw them in a van, but we're going to capture their emails and their addresses and their contact information so that we can reach out to them. It's one of those things that people avoid all the time. I'm going to make some tests coming up here. I'm going to go back and see if a couple things work that have been forgotten. I'm not going to give away any secrets, but there's been some things that have been ignored in the modern digital age that I want to go back in and see if they're effective. But anyway, what we need to look at here is, okay, what is the ROI of the person I'm hiring? And until I have a system that I can hand off to someone and they can do it 70% as good as I can do it, and that allows me to go generate more income that will actually pay for that person, and I make a return on my investment for paying them, now you know you're making a good hire. If you're paying someone and then the activities that you're doing are not income generating activities, then you're just throwing money at the wall, and that's not going to help your business. Then you're going to start eventually bleeding money. I'll tell you right now, this business is very, 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 very easy to just start bleeding money. I mean, when you go out and tour and you're not a prolific act, bleeding money. Doing an advertising campaign to Spotify and you don't know what you're doing to maximize streams per listeners and playlist ads that are genuine playlist ads and not bot playlist ads, money pit, right? But if you know how to do things properly, it's possible to get an ROI on your investment because you're implementing the right systems, right? You actually have a process that you're taking someone through. And guess what? It won't ever be perfect the first time you try it. Like I said, this is a real episode. I'm just telling you how it is. That's part of making it. It's not about, oh, I set this process up one time and it's perfect. No, it's like I need to set this process up and I need to run tests through it and optimize it and just make it the best it can possibly do. And so as you're doing that, you're like, think of your progress like a stock price. You make incremental progress, you do go down, you have to figure stuff up, maybe take a little season to learn something, boom, you do this, boom. And over time, the up and downs start to, you starts to have this progress trajectory, right? Now, the last thing I want you to kind of really look at when you're talking about, okay, I've systemized my music business, but I'm doing it in a way that's smart and effective. What are these income generating activities? What are these things that are actually going to generate income for me as an artist, right? All right, so we look at it like this. Most people are selling passively, okay? Most people just kind of like, hey, I kind of got a thing, They're not really that overt about it. And if they are overt about it, it's usually like, hey, someone joined my email list, slam them in the face with a giant offer. Oh, here's a discount in our store, go buy something immediately right now. That's not we want to introduce people to our email list. Please don't do that. If you're watching this video and you have a welcome sequence and the first email is pitching something down their throat, please go change it today. Today, change it from a pitch to giving something away for free. Total goodwill, just give them something for free that's like behind the scenes, recorded footage live, whatever. Do something that just gives something away for free. Don't immediately smack them in the face with a thing. But Dax, you said active selling. Well, I also believe in tactical selling as well, not just like smash them in the face, just, hey, buy this freaking stuff right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to go that hardcore and just try to ninja the F out of somebody. We can go in there, we can be subtle, we can be tactile, we can be subtly persuasive without being bash you over the head persuasive. Nobody likes that kind of bad pressure. But there is such a thing as good pressure, and we can implement it when we do the right kind of sales things. But what we want to look at here is like, what are the active income generating activities here? So here's what I would look at. Number one, I think selling offers through your email list is the best way to sell things to your fan base. Like when you're trying to sell something to your fan base, doing it on social media is not a very effective avenue because most of them don't get it because of the algorithm. Sales posts typically don't get as much reach as the other posts that are more like emotionally charged. I like to view social media as a place where by and large, I'm just giving things away for free. It's all about value, brand, but like intentionally based branding, not actually just branding for the sake of branding. Branding to get them to like, oh, wow, this is really cool. I want to be a part of that thing, right? So we have to look at things very tactilely, and we have to look at it like, okay, if I'm going to sell through my email list, how do I get them in there, give them some free value, maybe tell them a story about how I got to where I'm at, but put them in my shoes, right? So they really understand this story from their perspective too. And build this relationship between artist and fan so they genuinely like not only the music, but they understand where the music comes from, and so they have a deeper appreciation for it. Then we say, so I'm this artist who you now deeply appreciate and want to keep making more music. Here's a way to guarantee that I keep making more music. It's a lot better than buy my stuff immediately, right? So we have to look at different avenues to generate income. So email is one of my favorite ones to do that. The second avenue that I would look at is shows, local shows. I know some people are like, that's my local scene is blah, 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 blah. I live in Oklahoma City and I write hard rock music. I am in the nichest of niche right now where I live. Like in my area, it's hardcore death metal, which some of y'all are into, which is cool. It's not my particular cup of tea, but it's like hardcore, excruciating slam death metal music, or it's like country red dirt sort of deal. Like that's Oklahoma for you. And then there's these pockets around the college where they kind of like that weird, like alternative jazz experimental stuff, because we have some colleges that do some stuff, and like ACM at UCO is. You got some kind of hipsters doing some fun jazzy stuff up there. But then you got me over here like, who liked Puddle of Mud back in the day? You know, hey, when I was 7, I was really into Seether and Breaking Benjamin. It was really good stuff. You know, so I'm in a very, very niche thing, but I've still been able to build a following into the point where like if we headline a show, we've got to the point where we'll fill out a venue. If the venue is like 115 cap room, we'll fill up about 88% of the room consistently. They love having us come back over there because we put the right people on the bill and we get, well, here's another thing. The reason I like doing it is because we sell a lot of merch. That's a great advantage, I'll tell you that. If you've got your merch system set up and you know how to push people from the stage to the merch table, that, I'm telling you, you talk about making fast money in music, that can be a way to do it. Now, I understand some people are like, Dax, I don't have a band. I don't have all these people that I could go immediately play shows with. Don't have any shame with potentially having backing tracks behind you. Like, don't have any shame in that. As long as you're a good performer, like, yes, if you are a singer, and I have a microphone here that's in my office. If you're a singer and you're just standing here in front of the microphone, in front of all the people, and you're going, people are going to be so bored. They're going to just be bored to absolute freaking tears. And yeah, they will hate the fact that everything's a backing track because they have nothing else to look at, and what they're looking at with you is not very exciting. However, if you can actually have some body language, You know, imagine you're Dane Cook. Okay. Sorry, I'm still coming off a cold, so imagine you're Dane Cook and you're going to pantomime your hands and you're going to do things like, I was doing this thing over here and I was doing this. Use your hands. Get wide power stances. Drop low. Those things are actually very, very engaging. If you're trying to be emotional, then make them, if you're trying to be emotional, make the movement subtle. Right, so do that thing that people do where they'll be singing a note and it's like their hand is gliding the note like a dove through the air. They're like, and then they go, the flick of the wrist like this, and all of a sudden now it peaks the emotional intensity. Those kind of things can work too. But depending on what genre you're in, you're gonna have to move. Bare minimum, you gotta move, you gotta dance, you gotta clap your hands, you gotta move your body to it. But I gotta tell you, even that, I will say, is sometimes not enough. Like if you're just sitting in one place, you'll look like Obama when he was on Ellen and he was going like, it was the most awkward dance you've ever seen in your entire life. He was moving. Man, ain't nobody want to see this. I don't even want to do it right now for you, so I hope you've enjoyed that. That's how it was, though. We were just watching it going, do something else, please. For the love of God, Obama, stop. But don't look like that on stage. Don't be like, okay, I'm in front of a microphone, so all I got to do is go, and I'm good. Listen, do that for a few seconds, and then grab the mic, have some kind of stage presence. Sometimes if you're moving the entire time, then you just kind of look like a bobblehead, right? You just kind of look like you're just going, hey, what's going on, right? But if you bounce for a moment, and then it comes to like the first punch, the downbeat of the verse, and all of a sudden you stop, and you're freezing, your hands are out, and you're going, whatever. Yeah, I'm not a singer. Don't judge. I feel that judgment. Don't be judging my singing. I'll sing Bee Gees. I'll sing my ass off when it comes to some Bee Gees. Okay. What happens though? Sorry, it's a goofy episode today. This is what happens when you get semi-sick Dax, is you get all these kind of jokes. We have to look at, okay, I'm on stage. How do I use my body language and stuff to be very entertaining? And if you can start to do that, people will be engaged with you. So it doesn't matter that you've got a backing track. It doesn't matter if you're only a two-piece band, but the rest of the band is in the backing tracks. People won't care as long as you're entertaining and engaging to watch. And while you're on stage, one of the best things you can learn how to do is subtly use your words to move people to the merch table. If you can do that while you're on stage, there's lots of money to be made doing that. I can tell you that for sure. And getting in front of the right audience too. Some people think, well, Dax, I don't play for but like 15 to 20 people. I was in West Texas at Fort Stockton at a heavy metal coffee shop. You heard me correctly. So I was there, and literally there were probably 8 people in the crowd. We made, I think it was $600, $700 that night, because people that were there, we engaged with them. We didn't just say like, oh, there's no one here, so we're not really going to give our all. No, we gave our all. We gave our all, and we actually made $700 roughly that night. And that is one of those things that blew my mind and destroyed the false belief of like, well, if there's nobody in the room, then you can't make any money. I'll tell you right, and some of those payments were out of pity, but I don't care. Someone's like, dude, you guys were amazing. I feel bad there's no more people here, man. Here's $100. I'll just take a shirt. I'm like, okay, thank you. Like, I'm not saying that's how you want to make your living is off pity money, but if people are going to throw some pity money at you because there's 8 people in the room and you make more money, you're like, well, dude, I'm just happy to be playing in front of people. I'm just happy that you're here and you enjoyed the show, man. Like, that's how you should feel about it. And that's the energy you want to have, because it doesn't matter if you have a small group of people or a large group of people. There's ways that you can make a few $100s in one evening very quickly. It's best if it's local. That's why I said it's best if it's local, because the expenses are down when it's local. When it's out of state, you got to travel, you got to stay in a hotel, you got to eat food. Like, it's a big old expensive, so I'm saying money pit earlier. It turns into a money pit real fast. If you could stay here, you could stay local, now you're in a better position, because now you can actually just like play the gig, go home, sleep in your own bed, and you're good, right? So what's another place that we could start to generate some active income? Well, royalties, but it's not quick, right? You could start generating like an extra $50 to $100 a month if you do your meta ad strategy right. So, for example, I like the idea of doing an ad campaign, a well done ad campaign, not just a willy nilly one. And then once it's sort of run its budget course, turn it off, and then let the algorithm kind of churn people back up, and you'll start seeing a lift. And once you start seeing that lift, just let it go for as long as it's going to go. And then when you're ready to put out your next release, do another ad boost, right? And that'll push it up again. And then when it starts to come down from the ads, let the algorithm kind of chug it back up organically. And you do that a couple of times, you'll spend roughly $200 in ads, but then you'll start checking your DistroKid or your TuneCore or whatever, and you'll start seeing like $50, 50 more bucks, $70. And you're like, right? Like you'll start seeing this income come in, because that's just, I'm talking about Spotify, but this can also have some enhancements in your Apple Music and other kinds of streaming platforms. So all of a sudden, you're starting to grow a little bit more, right? So eventually, you don't have to do the ad stuff. The algorithm's just kind of churning for you, and you just ride that wave as long as you can. And eventually, you'll generate enough money from those algorithmic rises in your stream, your monthly listeners. You'll get to the point where that will pay for the ads that you spent to get this whole cycle to get off the ground in the first place, right? So is it the most ROI heavy way of making money? Absolutely not. I've said this from the beginning. Streams are like a very long term. To me, the value in music is not the streaming royalties. It's really not. If you want the honest truth as to where your value is going to be when it comes to your songs, it is going to be focusing on building a business that attracts a huge audience to the music that you create, so that one day when you are ready to retire, a big giant record label, if they're still around in the next 20, 30 years, I'm sure they will be, they're going to want to buy your catalog for an obscene amount of money, and you'll have all the leverage in the world to just milk the crap out of them for as much money as you can possibly get out of them. And you can sell your catalog and retire with 9 figures, you know what I'm saying, or 8 figures. Now, that's ideal. I don't want to paint that as a picture like every single artist is going to be able to do that. But if someone's like, where is the money in streams? I'm like, there's not really. There's not money, huge money to be made in streams until you get to a certain volume, right? Once you get to a certain volume, now the streaming numbers can kind of make sense a little bit, right? But you have to get to that volume first. And so if you focus on sort of some of those pillars that I've been talking about, you're growing via advertising, so you're growing through your paid methods, you're growing through your organic methods, your content creation, you're actually attracting people into the big net that's going to pull them down into the email list, right? And then you build out the email list. And when it comes to all this sort of stuff, right, this is not the conventional thing that a lot of people hear is like, here's how you make it in the music business. But it's like, there is no one moment where all of a sudden you've made it. It's you taking the time to painstakingly set up these systems and processes and do this over time. And I understand that it's not the sexiest thing in the world. But I can tell you for a fact that if you focus on enjoying the journey and not the destination, this business becomes infinitely more tolerable. Because when you're building the perfect merch systems, you're going to have to play a bunch of shows. Don't be sitting there so focused on the end day where you don't have to do stuff with your merch and you can hire a merch person that you forget about all the good times that you have at all the gigs where you sold the merch yourself. That's going to be such a fun journey for you. Don't, be so quick to hire out people to take care of your email list when you think back to yourself of all the emails that you sent out before you figured it out. And then once you figured it out, you learn how to be so persuasive and effective doing it that now when you hand it off, you have this journey that you went through to accomplish that. Some people want to shortcut that and just say, I'll just delegate that. I don't need to be good at that. Listen, if you're talking about delegating your album artwork, sure, maybe you don't need to be good at that. But there's honestly, I'm not even going to go in that conversation. And some people know what I'm about to bring up. It makes some of my followers mad, so I'm not going to do it. But you could potentially hire people to do your artwork for you while that's still in industry. So you look at it, it's a multivariate thing. People want the one simple answer. People probably watch this video. Maybe at some point we're hoping there was one simple answer. I just do this one thing and it'll fix everything. There's not really one thing. The one thing is comprised of like 15 different things. You know what I'm saying? It's like to build a house, it's only 2 steps. One, get materials. 2, build house. It's a very, very easy, simple 2-step process that you just follow right now to get your house built. You know, that's kind of, if you want to condense it and try to do like what's the one thing I need? Okay, the one thing you need is comprised of about 15 different things. But it's not really 15. To me, it's 4 things. Okay, this is really where the goal, this is why I said stay to the end, because now it's all going to pay off into this. Where are the systems that you should really be focusing on, right? So I talked about ads. I talked about, email. I talked about all this stuff. That's where I think the income generating activities focus on those things, right? But when it comes down to it, you're really doing 4 things. In business, it's called lead acquisition, right? Lead generation, right? You're trying to get someone into this place where they're, oh man, I know this band. I'm really interested in them on the email list. I think they're super dope. Then there's customer acquisition. That's actually the second one. Customer acquisition is now where they go from potential fan, or what we would call, prospect. Then they go into like full-fledged fan where they bought something of yours. Whether that's a $5 item, a $10 item, a $15 item, 20, whatever. It doesn't matter. They've bought something from you. Now they're a customer. The third system is customer ascension. How do we take them, instead of buying a $5 item, can they buy something for $5 a month, or maybe, buy something for $25, right? And then the fourth one is kind of what I mentioned, recurring income. How can I get recurring revenue generated in my business? My favorite way to do that, Patreon fan club, right? Patreon is a platform that allows you to kind of operate a fan club. If you can operate it under your own website because you've got one of these all-in-one softwares like Elite 360 or ClickFunnels or something like that, then I recommend that if you can afford it. So you do this. You focus, how do I acquire more leads, fans who maybe passively like my music, but I'm trying to really build them into a diehard fan, right? Then you have your customers that you've acquired. Okay, now they're actually and they're into my music enough, they're willing to buy something to support me. This is a great sign. How can I potentially get them to buy the VIP ticket? How can I get them to potentially buy the vinyl? How can I get them to buy this thing that's a little bit more expensive? And then the other thing is, how can I get them to contribute to me every single month? Maybe I have a fan club that's $5 a month, $9 a month, $10 a month. You focus on this stuff. Give yourself years to do this. People overestimate what they can do in a year and 2 years, but they underestimate what they can do in 5 years and 10 years, okay? And I know it's a long time horizon, but that's plenty of time for you to enjoy all the wonderful people that you're going to meet, all the crazy things that you're going to see, because I could tell you firsthand, I've got enough stories. I could do like a 4-hour lecture just about stories that I've encountered where I've seen, oh gosh, I can't even go into any of them because there's like so many stories all at the same time. I'm just thinking of like meth heads approaching us at the merch table. I'm thinking of almost avoid being stabbed that one time. There's so many different stories that thankfully resulted in the way they did, so that I'm still here today. But if you got a lot of value from this, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so that you can see more content just like this to help you out with your music business, that you can understand all the different marketing systems. Today I wanted to talk about, what making it sort of looks like in real life, no sugarcoating, and kind of break up the big fairy tale myths of, well, this is what it looks like when you're going to make it, So that way you actually have a practical way to look at the music business moving forward. But we've got plenty of strategies on this YouTube channel that you can check out. Also, if you'd like some one-on-one help in your music business, and you'd want to potentially work one-on-one with me, there's a link to apply for a coaching call in the description if that sounds like something you're interested in. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you guys on another video inside of Musicians Ignite. Take care.